Hi everybody, Martin here, and today on the channel what I'm going to be doing is a demo of an app called Multideck. Now this is a Mac app, it's not for the Windows platform, and it's what I use to rapidly prototype cards for my game designs and my rethemes. I do a lot of rethemes, and I've designed a couple of games, and I want to show you the tools that I use, and I want to show you how I use them from as early on in the process as possible so you get an idea. So let me just stop the intro and the talking, and let me switch my screen view here and show you what I'm working with. So remember, the name of the app is called Multideck, but you don't start in Multideck. The process actually starts with a spreadsheet application. So the spreadsheet that you see on my screen right now is called Numbers, but you can use Google Sheets, you can use Excel, and really you start with specifying your cards in a spreadsheet. Let me just say that again. You start with specifying your cards in a spreadsheet. So let me show you exactly what I mean here. And let me actually zoom in so that you can see a little better what exactly I mean here. So let me open this up a little bit. Let me give you a little bit more zoom here. Go to the view menu. All right, so here are my cards. Every row, so 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here, is a card. And then every column, in every column is an element within that card. And you can see that from the header. So this column A is title, card title. This column B is the main image of the card. Column C will have the card effect of any text that I have to express the effect of the card. Column D is the card cost, so how much it costs to purchase that card. Say if this was some type of a deck building game. And then column E is the card power. So how much power that card is going to provide when you play it. This isn't an actual game. I just kind of put this together for the demo purposes. So here are our cards. Our first card is called the Dove of Freedom, and here's an image file name. So I've prepared these file names beforehand, and I can actually pull this up here for you. Let's see here. In this demo folder, I've placed an images folder, and over here you've got the images that I prepared for this game. I got these from a website called gameicons.net, game-icons.net. And basically it's a place to get free, royalty-free images for your game prototypes. And so I've quickly gotten some images here. You've got the Freedom Dove, the Missile Swarm, the Robot Golem, very, very cool, the Spyglass, and the Viking Head. I don't exactly know how all of these are going to fit together in my game, but let me go back to the spreadsheet here and show you what I'm talking about. So there's a card called the Dove of Freedom, and you'll notice that I've put the file name of the image file here under the image column. And then I said, hey, the effect of the Dove of Freedom grants freedom to all creatures, and really that's all we want. And then I put the numeric cost of the card and the power of the card. And you'll notice that that's consistent across all the other cards. Let me just read a couple more here. The Robot Golem card, and then I put the image file name robot-golem.png, and I can show you that. In the images folder here is robotgolem.png, and that's what it looks like. Okay. I just really like the Golem image. And the effect text here is the Robot Golem is carried by the Dove of Freedom, which is another card here, and dropped into play to defend against the missiles of wrath. Okay, so the Golem will defend against the missiles. So we like the Robot Golem. Subscribe to the Robot Golem's Patreon to show your support. Even Robot Golems have a Patreon now, apparently. And the cost of that card is 3. And the power is 5. So basically you get the idea. You specify the card elements, whether they are graphics or text, in a spreadsheet. Okay? And I've saved the spreadsheet in the same folder as the images for this game. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go up to the File menu and I want to export this spreadsheet to CSV format. CSV stands for comma separated values. I'm going to hit Next here, and then I'm just going to call it Demo, and it's going to go inside the same folder that contains the spreadsheet file and the images folder. Great. And so now just to confirm, we open that up and we see the spreadsheet file here saved, the CSV file in the same folder with the subfolder that contains the images for this game. So far, so good. Okay, now we can actually quit our spreadsheet, although what I'll do is instead of quitting it, I'm just going to minimize it because I might have to use it a little later on. And then we're going to open up Multideck. So now that we've done all of the prep work in our spreadsheet application, we've exported the CSV, we've gathered all of the images that we want to use for our game, now we can actually get into Multideck here. So let me make sure this is big enough for you to see. And so in Multideck, what you can do here in the deck screen is, first of all, you tell it the path to your CSV file. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that folder that contains the CSV file that I exported earlier, and then I tell Multideck the path to it. And I also tell it the image folder. All right, so now we've selected the CSV file for our game, and we've selected the folder that contains the images for our game. We can also tell Multideck what size do we want our cards to be, all the way from micro cards, 1.25 inches wide to 1.75 inches tall, all the way to a tarot, jumbo, small square, or square. I want poker-sized cards for this game, so I'm just going to select poker, and it naturally already specifies all these common card sizes, which is nice. And you can do that in inches. You could also switch it to millimeters if you want, and that's a quick way for me to learn that a standard 2.5 inch wide by 3.5 inch tall poker card actually is 63.5 millimeters wide by 88.9 millimeters tall. So that's kind of cool. I would also, if I was making, these are just prototypes, but if I was making cards with a front and a back, then I could use this option to say, hey, the cards may have two sides. And then Multideck has really, really nice options actually for printing out card fronts and backs in a kind of double-sided way. But for now, I'm going to deselect this option. And this is all the work that we want to do in the deck area. I mean, one other optional thing you could do is you could name your template. So maybe this is my main combat deck, so I'll name it Combat Deck, because I could potentially have multiple templates in this game for all the different decks in this game if it was a bigger game and wasn't just comprised of one deck. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to the layout view, which basically gives you a view of the card. And here is where we are going to now start to specify and compose and arrange and move around and play with the elements of the card. So the first thing I want to do is I want to have a card title. So all of those things are items. And here in the lower left of Multideck, you can see Add New Item. So I'm going to click the Add New Item option. And then down here, I can specify the type of that item. It could be plain text, rich text, a text table that I've never really used and I don't know what it is, but I could figure it out. A literal text, again, I don't know, or an image with markup, or an image table. Again, I'm not really too clear on what tables are. Really, the ones that I use most are rich text and image. So I'm going to select rich text for now, and I'm going to move my item up here to the top of the card. Not all the way to the very top, but within this handy-dandy safe border that is currently being displayed. And if I wanted to, I could deselect that safe border and then just make the elements of my card go all the way to the end. But it's actually a good idea to arrange all of your card elements within the safe border. That way, when you are printing them out, then you don't run the risk of having any card elements, important card elements that are too close to the edges, cut off when people are cutting out your cards. So this first piece, I want this to be the card title. So right now, here is where we specify the title of the item and the content. Right now it says item 0. I can change the name of this element to title. And as you can see, my change is happening at the same time there. And I want to connect this item to the title column in my spreadsheet. So I'm going to go ahead, and you see here, if you've done your CSV file correctly, then the column headers or column labels that you specified will appear here in Multideck. So I will select title, and now I've said that, hey, this item on this card design that's called title is now connected to the column in the CSV file also called title. And I will make this wider until it's the width of the safe border, like so. And then I want to go ahead and format this. So let's see. Where do I go? I go to Format, Font, Show Fonts. There it is. So now I'm going to style the text that's going to appear here in this element here. And let's see. I actually didn't think about this. Choosing fonts is one of the most time-consuming elements of my process. But I think I will go with some steampunk fonts here, and I think that I'm going to go with, ooh, boy, wow. Okay, I think I like Steam Rec, and I want that to be, let's try maybe 36 points. Look, we can make this bigger, like that. Cool. And then I would also like it to be center. Center aligned. Great. And then now that we've made those styling choices, we could go ahead and hit preview. And now you can see our 5 cards. Remember, every row in our spreadsheet is 1 card. So now you can see I'm actually having a second thought about this font right here, because it's kind of hard to read. maybe and that's the cool thing about previews. We can go back and then we can open up that font panel again, and maybe we can choose a different. How about that one? I think that's a little bit more readable. Let's do preview. Okay, that's much better. Look at that. I like that better, and it's got a nice kind of old school steampunky vibe. So I think that I'm gonna stick with this font. I've already forgotten what the name of the font was. Great. So that's the first piece. We've got our title in place. Next, we want to bring in our image, right? So let's add a new item, and this time we want to select image from the drop down as the item type, and let's make it about yay big, move it somewhere here, and now same thing. Now that we've got that item, let's name it so that we know what item that is. Call it image, and then we want to connect it to the image column in our CSV file, in our spreadsheet. So fortunately, there it is. And then let's go ahead and hit preview. So now we've got images to go with our titles in our card, and our card design is starting to shape up. See, we've got a picture of the robot golem, we've got the spyglass of seeing, we've got a peaceful Viking, and we've got a dove of freedom. So, and the missiles of wrath. Can't forget those missiles. So now we've got a card title and a simple card title and now we've got a main image for the card. So that's very, very good. You'll notice that your items are specified in the item list here in the upper right area of Multideck. All right, so next thing we want to do is we want to add some of the card effect text. So again, we want to add new item, and we'll make that rich text. Let me get out of preview mode so that you can see. And here is our new item. And we'll make that pretty big and wide so that it's going to fit. And I don't know. I don't know if I want the same font for the... Well, first of all, before we do that formatting, let's call it effect. And then let's connect it to the effect column in our spreadsheet. And then we could preview this. Okay. I mean, that's not too bad. One of the nice things about Multideck is it auto resizes the text based on how much text there is. So you'll notice that if there's not a lot of text, and the text gets automatically bigger. And then if there's a lot of text, then the text font size actually gets smaller. And we could work with that. We can also change those settings if we wanted to. So that's the shrink to fit option. If we deselected that, then it wouldn't do that nifty shrinking effect here. And then, ooh, center vertically. That's nice too. So let's see, what does it look like now? Yes, okay, I like that. So you know what? I think maybe just for purposes of this demo, we'll keep that. Okay, we'll get out of preview mode. Now, the next thing we want to do is we have a couple more things here. We've got some numbers, right? So we'll bring in our card values, and we'll put them in the maybe upper left and upper right of the layout. Now let's bring in a plain text, and then this is going to go up here and be about yay big. And then we're going to call that the cost. Cost. All right. And then we'll connect it to the cost column. And now, if we preview this, actually, see, so this is a problem here because I've placed that element there, and it's fighting, it's covering up, it's getting in the way of the title. So maybe I'm looking at this now and saying that's not the best place for that item. Fortunately, I could take it and easily move it around, drag it down to here, say, maybe over here, maybe in the lower right. Maybe in a lot of games we're used to looking at the card cost in the lower right. All right, now that looks better. Almost better, not quite better. Let's tweak this a little more. You know what? I'm going to cheat and actually move it to this area here, and then that brings our item, our cost, outside of the any text. Great. So now we have a card title. We've got an image. We've got some text, and we have a cost to purchase the card. Now we have one more element, which is the card attack power. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So add new item. We're going to call that one. We'll put it down here now to kind of provide symmetry with the other numeric item that there is. And we're going to call this one, label it power, like so. And we're going to connect it to the power column in our spreadsheet. And when we preview that, almost there. And you know what? I'll show you this tip for free. You don't necessarily have to do all of your card arranging and composing in the layout mode. Here in preview mode, you can actually move things around. So that's kind of cool. Let's say I wanted to move those values right in the corner, the corners of the safe border. And you'll notice all the changes that I'm doing are being reflected across every single card, right? All the 5 cards. And let's go into preview mode here. And you know what? Let's just move this effect box and then move it up. There you go. I think that's a little better. And maybe one more thing, if I can just pull this inward. Okay, I think I like that better. That just, I don't know, it just is more visually appealing. Okay, so now you can see that we've created our very simple cards. Everyone has a power in the lower left, a value in or a cost in the lower right. It's got card effect text. It's got an image. we are actually ready to output this to a PDF or print it directly from here. So the way to do that is to go ahead and hit the print icon in the upper area of Multideck. And let's go ahead and save this as PDF. I'm going to call this demo. And I will save that into the same folder. And then let me go ahead and open up that folder. And there you go. And one of the really, really cool things about Multideck is that it automatically adds cutting guides to the print and play PDFs that it outputs. So I didn't have to do anything. You notice I didn't mess around. These nice corner crosshair cutting guides here just were automatically placed there by Multideck. And now I can print this out if I want. I can cut out these cards. I can put them in a card sleeve, and then I can start bring them to a play test and play around with them, and then start making notes, prototype, change some of the values. Maybe the game balance was off. Maybe there were typos in the effect text. Maybe my players said, oh, you know what? That image isn't right for that card. It should be something else. Or maybe they had feedback on the title. Either way, I can now go in, make changes to the spreadsheet, and then have those changes instantly propagated across all of the cards in Multideck, in my game. And like I said, every row in the spreadsheet, let me just go ahead back to the spreadsheet here. Every row in this spreadsheet is another card. So if I wanted to add more cards, just add more rows to the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and copy this Peaceful Viking and then paste. And now if I save this, and then if I export that to CSV and update the existing CSV like so, overwrite it, then now our game is going to have not just 5 cards as you see here, but if we reload that CSV, now it has 6, including 2 Peaceful Viking cards. So, I hope that this short video, let me just go ahead in full screen mode now. I hope that this short video gives you some idea of how to use Multideck and how to use its paradigm of you specify your card as individual elements in a spreadsheet. You export that to a comma-separated values or CSV file, and then you basically, Multideck is reading the information from the CSV. It's reading the information from your folders, from your image folder path, and then it allows you the ability to import those elements, individual elements, into its layout mode, and then you can move things around. You can play around with the formats. You can suppress certain elements. You can in advanced applications that I've tried with Multideck, you could have you could have a different icon appearing in the same place on a card, depending on whether you had specified a value in that column or in a different column. So kind of dynamically swapping out the image, let's say the icon, in the same place on a card, which in an image editing editing app you'd have to do on an individual basis. You can do this very, very quickly and easily in Multideck once you are more familiar with just how it operates. It's if you're used to prototyping cards in an image editor, then you have to change your mindset basically. And there's a learning curve here. That for sure. I'm not going to lie to you about. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You do have a bit of learning to do to change your kind of like your assumptions and your expectations from making cards one by one in an image editor like Photoshop or Pixelmator Pro, which is what I use, to this kind of workflow where it's almost like you're designing cards like a website almost, if you're familiar with web development. So anyway, that is my attempt at a very quick demonstration of how to use Multideck, the basics, the very, very basics of it. There are pretty cool tutorial videos on the Multideck website, which I will link to in the video description below. Until next time, this has been Martin. I'm trying to teach you correctly, even though, as always, I'm probably playing it wrong. Thanks for watching.